Why, hello, and welcome to issue 740 of Geek in the City Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Aron Duran.
I am your other host, Binarita.
And I am your other host, Cable Hashtani.
And we are joined this episode with our new super special guest, Anastasia Elfman. Hello.
Hello.
Told you we'd have you back.
Yes, you captured me. You found me running around Hollywood Hills and you wrangled me in. And now I'm back. I'm so excited. Man.
Also, do you think we can get a refund on that butterfly net? I don't know if we'll use a giant butterfly net again.
I don't know.
Out, so I don't know if Amazon's gonna take it. We have to like find a hole.
No,
sorry, I didn't know.
Now it's just what we can use it for now is a really big bubble wand.
Ooh, okay.
That's great.
There you go.
Yeah.
A great summertime activity.
You always got to have at least one bubble wand guy at any festival.
At least one.
Cool.
It is required.
All right. Normally I write a bio for our guests, but Anastasia, you've been with us before, and that was a little bit more project focused. And now that you're here for something a little bit more integral to Geek in the City, we thought it would be fun for you to say a little bit about yourself for the audience members who aren't already familiar with you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So hi, Anastasia Elfman. I'm an actress, creator, burlesque kind of performance art artist. Let's see, what else? I have a new film out called Bloody Bridget, and I collaborate a lot with my husband, Richard Elfman, and we do live performances before his screenings of like Forbidden Zone or another comedy called Aliens Counting Geeks and stuff. And we've been touring with our horror film, Bloody Bridget. So yeah, I don't know.
Which is how we all met you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you guys came out to, we had a wild, what was it, like triple feature? It was like a whole evening or a whole day out in Portland.
It really was. It was a triple feature. I think it started at like 5 and let out 11:30, midnight, something like that.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun.
I don't know. I think I was sick.
I
was really bummed out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You didn't make it.
No.
Oh no, now we have to come back up.
Bloody Bridget was a lot of fun, so.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh, thank you. We had so much fun with the Yule Fest.
It was, yeah. Our friends Dylan and Julia over at Yule Fest put that together. It was really fun. But that's not why you're here today.
No, this led you to here because the last time I had you on, every time we kept trying to go away, we're like, oh, one more thing and one more thing. And that's when we realized that you're pretty much like a kindred spirit with us. And then I don't know how we got on. Like, what if we pick one movie a month and then just spend an episode talking about it? But that's what we're doing.
Yep.
So now once a month, we're going to have you on and we're going to talk about some of your favorite films because we're kind of going off your list. And this month is Robocop.
Because it felt timely.
Yeah, it really does in a not fun way, but at least Robocop's a kick-ass movie.
Yes, it is.
So we just kind of just start into this. I mean, everyone knows Robocop if you're listening, right? I'm gonna assume.
Yeah.
But probably. Peter Weller gets all shot up and becomes Robocop. And it's a dystopian future where corporations are making crime go up so that public service looks inept and they can hire private security, which is complete fantasy.
Nothing like that has ever happened.
But don't forget they are driving up the real estate market as well.
Yes.
After torpedoing it so they can buy all the land and then build new stuff on it and charge
They could call themselves People for Detroit. And they could bankroll Renee Gonzalez. Oh, sorry. I gotta stop.
That's local politics.
Yeah.
Right. So, I wanted to, before we like dive into the movie itself, I wanted to start with the fact that so Robocop is billed as a sci-fi action film. but we're looking at it as a horror film. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just thought it was really interesting that it's not described as a horror film, but that's
right.
that's more or less why we've chosen it, right? Because we
Right.
are all big fans of horror.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of like put it into a box because it's so many things. It's both like a tragedy, a thriller, and a comedy, and it's also like body horror, cyberpunk, it's sci-fi. It's all of these things, and it's so like practical effects forward and heavy and
Mhm.
visual effects, they were really ahead of their time with a lot of the inventions, let's say, that they were adding into the film. And to me, I mean, not to get like too ahead of ourselves, it's like a futuristic like Western almost, it's like he's like the new sheriff in town and he's got to like right all these wrongs and take over,
Right.
That is definitely how Weller plays the character.
Yeah, I know Weller plays it that because he loves Westerns, Peter Weller. So he does play it that way.
Especially with the whole gun twirling.
That's right.
Like that is some old school Western.
And that also
thought of
slightly
that.
ties into Verhoeven's love of like satirizing American culture. I love that that character's name is TJ Laser.
Yeah.
Which straight up like Shatner.
Yeah.
Like it's TJ. Can you do that, Dad?
But all of that like dystopian stuff is why we thought it would be a good first movie, even if it's not a straight horror, because it is frighteningly relatable stuff with what's going on right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And maybe not in every city, but like you were saying, here in Portland, some of that stuff is happening.
Some of that is happening. We just aren't gonna get a bitchin' cyborg. Like I might sign over certain rights if I can get a bitchin' cyborg. I'm not perfect. Like I'm all like, no, but I'm like, look at it, man. It's fucking cool.
But a cyborg, come on.
Yeah, maybe what was your first viewing like? Like I'm sure because it came out in 87. So like when you went into RoboCop, like what were your thoughts? Like was it like, what the hell am I watching?
Is it to me?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Okay, yeah, no problem. All good. I'll jump right in. Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. Because it's like, growing up, we didn't have like streaming or anything. So I feel like I wasn't in charge of, driving myself to a VHS store or, like a Blockbuster or some kind of local thing. But I assume somebody rented the movie for me, and I don't know, it's just like so blown away. And also, I mean, those scenes, like when he's, when he gets it, when he's like dying and they're torturing him, I mean, like even to this day, because right now, like one of my a big focus for me, like as a mom, I'm trying to expose my daughter to like horrors that influenced me growing up, and so like I'm going through and I'm sharing all of my favorite horrors with her, and we kind of recently watched it together, and it's so gut-wrenching. I have to fast forward. She couldn't even watch the scene because I was like on the verge of like losing it because I love, his character is just so, I mean, to me, like so lovable. I don't know if I answered the question, but
no, and I get that to a point. No, and I totally get it because I'm 48 years old. Whenever I watch RoboCop, I will leave the room. I can handle him initially getting shot up. It's when I begin to hear as he's moving the shotgun up and he's going to aim for his hand. I leave the room every time. I don't know. It's not that it's like, I mean, it is a disturbing scene, but it's the gore that Verhoeven was going for. So it's hyper violent to the extent where it doesn't look real. Like every gunshot makes a body part explode because he's going for that. But even knowing that, I leave the room. There's something about it. And maybe part of it is the way Weller screams.
Yeah. I believe that I saw RoboCop in the theater when it came out.
I did too.
And
yeah.
That scene still, like when I was rewatching this at home last night, I said to my partner, like, this is still one of the most violent death scenes I have ever witnessed in a movie.
And it's really mean-spirited too.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that when I was rewatching. I'm like, wow, this is really mean. But that was the goal.
Yeah.
Was to showcase like how out of control and like violent things are supposed to be in this city.
And how evil those characters are. I mean, like they're all like when you watch them, it's like you know, it's these like kind of like lighthearted, goofy guys, but they're also cruel and evil.
Yeah.
Such great actors. It's like I want to watch them, but also it's like they're murdering people, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Verhoeven does
it's not like it's not a sympathy killing or like an easy out. It's like they're torturing. They're dragging, you know, it's like, I don't know. I'm like a softie with that kind of stuff.
My partner used the word torture. Well, like when we were talking about this, she's like, it's because they're torturing him.
Yeah,
to death.
yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's something like
assassination.
I feel like Verhoeven does this on purpose, especially in Robocop.
Yeah.
So like you're right. I say like those villains, the henchmen or whatever, they come across as like goofy 80s, almost like A-Team bad guys.
Right.
Which is fine. I love the A-Team. Like no one dies, everyone just gets flipped off in the air when something blows up. So it's that. It's almost Looney Tunes until that scene happens. And then it's like, oh, no, yeah. And it's that moment, I think you catch on pretty quickly that they're all a little goofy. But the character of Boddicker,
Clarence Boddicker.
yeah, he likes inflicting pain.
Oh, yeah.
And when he gets bored, that's when he kills you. And in that scene, like, all right, I've tortured this cop enough. Just kill him. It's not fun anymore. Yeah, it's super messed up. I think I was like, when it came out, 87?
87.
So I would have been 11. And even then, my hyper-religious grandfather took me to it because he had this thing for sci-fi movies. Didn't matter what they were rated. He loved sci-fi. And afterwards, he was like, don't tell your mom I took you to this.
Yeah, I was 16.
Yeah.
I was 3 when it came out. So
you probably saw it later.
You did not see it.
Yeah, I mean, I might have seen it on video at some time later, but maybe was still too young to even remember.
I mean, we can kind of dive into that really quick, Anastasia, also about like kind of the practical and from one hand, like it's fantastic, like the way Robocop moves, and especially the way Ed 209 moves, but also on the flip side, like that gore element that is almost like the closest like a mainstream American movie got to some kind of like Giallo theater or Giallo theater.
Giallo.
Giallo. The other one that pops in my head is our introduction to Ed 209. And he doesn't hear the gun fall. And that corporate guy just gets turned into Swiss cheese. And it's so over the top, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, but I don't know how you all would react to this, but and then it also, like, there's this horror. And then it becomes incredibly hilarious when some random board member yells out, can someone get the fucking paramedics up here? Like that this guy's still fucking alive. Can you get the paramedics? You know?
We do. There's systems, there's protocols in place for a reason.
Yep.
Right. You know, or this the CEO just having that moment of like, I'm disappointed. Like he just saw a coworker ripped to shreds. And his reaction is like, I'm disappointed. This is not going to make the show.
Blown to shreds, more like it.
Yep.
That was intense. They put so many, like, what do you call them, like squibs all over him. And apparently, like, the actor who did it, it's like, you know, you would feel the, like, ignition and the explosion. So a lot of that was, like, him actually feeling that. And he had to do it over and over again.
Oh.
He got hit in some, like, unmentionable places.
No, because you probably know this better than we do. Weren't old squibs actually with just a little bit of gunpowder to make them pop out?
I don't know what they use here, but I feel like I've heard that, but I'm not sure exactly. I didn't get a chance to like super deep dive into all of like the like fine nuances of. You know.
I didn't know that took multiple takes. Oh my God. Because it made my brain go to when Jimmy Kahn dies in Godfather. Spoilers. He tells a story about like when they're loading him up with squibs, the the props and the effects guys and the stunt crew, and he's like, and they just kept shaking their head. Finally, I'm like, what's wrong? And they're like, nothing. And then he finally said, wait a minute, is this gonna hurt a lot? And the lead stunt coordinator was like, we don't know. We've never put this many on someone, so it might. Good luck. Then he said that screaming is him. He's in that much pain from those squibs going off. So
yeah, no.
decade later, it still didn't change.
I say, but I imagine it must be somewhat akin to just getting like blasted with paintballs,
Probably.
Yeah.
but without protective gear.
Right.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing to remember is the first part of paintball is pain.
Nice.
That was a good one.
I take no credit for that. We say that at camp all the time. Shoot, I had something. Nope.
What?
I keep thinking about the impact that this movie had on me personally, and because this was when I was in that formative stage of, well, now I want to make movies, and I see things and I'm like, how did they do that? How did they do that? And RoboCop is one of those movies that definitely got me going, I want to do this. I want to try this out. The POV that starts when he's in surgery, and then the early stages of him becoming a cyborg, that was fascinating because that's not something that we had seen before with all the computer animation. Like, and that's the computer animation for the movie, as opposed to
no other.
Yeah. Versus like the remake of RoboCop, which has a lot of CGI in it. This is a lot of practical effects. The Ed 209, the death scenes, the incredible melting man scene, toxic sludge.
To bring up, that's the other thing that will still disturb me when he goes, help me. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and the bones like peeking through. I was gonna say that's the second one where I'm almost like on the verge of having to fast forward because it's just like so gross.
It is,
and it's
really
almost
good.
It's really good.
And then I feel bad for him for no reason. He's a terrible person, and it's like, you're not yours, but like I'm like, oh my god, that must be so painful.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's so weird when he dies. Every time I think about it, I think like, I bet you could have just ran him over, Paul, and had a little bit of under the car. No, I'm gonna fucking blow him up. I'm gonna have Battlecar hit him and just. He's gonna explode, and I'm gonna send bones and gore everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah,
the fight
and then just the
scene
windshield wiper.
Yeah,
just wiping him off. No.
That entire action sequence at the old steel factory where they have that shootout. That is again harkens back to being a Western, where it's the shootout at the OK Corral type of thing.
Right. Oh, I never thought about it that way. Yeah. Totally.
I didn't think about it until we started talking about how it is all over the map with genres and being like, I don't think I would have ever thought of RoboCop as horror, but now like in this discussion, it's like, well, yes, of course that makes sense. It's body horror. And it also makes sense why it's Peter Weller. Peter Weller also does really well with body horror. Like he did Naked Lunch.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I don't know that one.
I think it's on like HBO right now.
Yeah, it's a David Cronenberg film.
Oh, okay.
Okay, there you go.
So I gotta gird myself for that.
Yeah,
it's a David Cronenberg film about based on a William Burroughs novel.
Yeah. So I'm trying to. So one of the things when I was researching more into RoboCop, and this happens a lot, I think, with a lot of Verhoeven's U.S. films, it didn't do very well, and it wasn't very well received. I think it's because even back then and even more now, I think that it feels like the average audience in America doesn't get satire.
No.
It doesn't click. And maybe part of it is because he's following an 80s action movie playbook so well that it runs like one. Quick setup, hero dies, comes back, takes revenge, evil's punished.
I mean,
You know.
much like Starship Troopers, where most
Mhm.
people don't realize it's satire.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think I realized it was satire when I first watched it, and it was later. It's like, oh, wait a minute, this is making fun of all. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I was like 17 or 18 when I saw Starship Troopers. And at that age, like, I don't care. There's giant bugs. There's blowing them up. There's naked people. This is awesome, you know?
Um, yes, I'm trying to elaborate, but I'm not finding the words. I don't know. I think that a lot of people in filmmaking would agree with you.
Mhm.
But it's tricky, right? Like if you're too subtle, then is it really satire? And if you're too overt with it, then it just comes off like, well, this is a stupid movie. And you're not picking up on the fact that like you're making fun of the concept. So you have to find that middle ground. And I think that a lot of satirical films probably take a while to find their footing, especially if they're not marketed as satirical. I feel like I remember ads for RoboCop, like when you see them on an old DVD,
Mhm.
and it sells like a straight action.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they always do.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. It's like we've gone from like horror to like sci-fi, we're getting Western, and then
Mhm.
it's all over the place. It's so hard to like pick one because it's all of those. And then also what I thought was like so interesting was these commercials that just come out of nowhere.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
love an
For,
in-world
like
commercial.
cars, you know, and the stop motion with the Kyoto brothers, and they're actually in the commercial. Love that.
Artificial heart.
Yeah, like so big. What are you gonna like? How do you hide that? Like that doesn't seem doable.
That thing was enormous.
Oh, the fake heart? The
Yeah.
artificial heart? Yeah.
And again, that's another one of those things that like, that's so ridiculous. Like that would never happen. But the overall idea of, you know, pharmaceuticals being advertised to you on television
Mhm.
is very real.
And it only happens in America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was we know you can't afford a new heart, but you can finance one. And I think in 87, you'd have been like, that's so stupid. And now I'm like, I literally had to get a new CPAP. And if it wasn't because of a recall, I was going to have to finance it. Like a machine I need to improve my health and make me not die younger.
Yep.
Got to make payments on it. Which
They're
makes
like,
me think, yeah, make me think sidebar really quick. I feel like one day we should dive into, even though it's very divisive, but like the concept behind Repo, the genetic opera, that they'll just fucking take your organs back if you miss a payment. Anyway, yeah.
Yep. I think that could be a different show.
Yeah.
Well,
So what?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I'm just
I was just gonna say I was chatting with my friend. I sent you guys an email beforehand, like right before we started. But I was chatting with my friend who's this amazing animator. His name is Kevin Kuchever, and he's worked on everything like Beetlejuice, Gremlins, all like anything that you watch, he's probably worked on. And what you were talking about, like kind of like what I was saying, predicting the future and so ahead of their time. He sent me a video of all of this like GPS and like robo navigation that I couldn't tell if it was actually CGI or if it was like a physical art. And he was saying that it took weeks for him to create and backlight, and it just rolled so seamlessly. And so it was just interesting because he was saying it was like way before there was GPS in cars. So like the inside, I guess this is from like a deleted scene, which is so special to see. But like I get to nerd out.
No, it's great.
But so he was saying that there was this whole like segment that we're supposed to go inside of RoboCop's car, but I guess the director didn't like the inside, and so it was a deleted scene. But he you know, he did that himself and like working for weeks on it. So he's incredible, and I'm always in awe of like, you know, animation and the talent and the, you know, it's such a you have to work so hard at it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
For scenes that end up being very short.
Or not even
not
in-
used
Or
at
not
all.
even in, yeah.
Mhm.
So was he partially involved in any of the stop motion, or is it just kind of the other visual effects?
I didn't have it because I was like trying to get ready and like do my makeup at the same time. So I didn't have time to like really grill him. But he was so kind. He said that he also did the Robo Vision when we
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it,
cable
which
time.
is incredible. And then
Mhm.
he said that he did some like electricity, which I'm such a huge fan of, like the like 80s, like the electricity that looks like electricity that's glowing, if that makes sense, versus like this
Yes.
CGI. I mean, I'm in awe of people who can do that art form, but I really love the, you know, old school kind of electricity, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm super nerdy with that kind of stuff. But so he did that and some sparks and things like that. Yeah.
That's so cool. Because I was gonna like, because we talked a little bit about effects, and I'd love to get your input too. I found myself rewatching a lot of the Ed 209 scenes, not when it's shooting, that's cool, but like the few times where it cuts behind and when it moves its leg, there's like 20 different moving parts in that single shot. There's servos spinning and pistons are moving. Like
Mm-hmm.
it would have been easy just to do, and this isn't like clearly, it's not a dig on Star Wars, for the massive achievement that AT-ATs were. If you get up close, there's some moving, but it's like a big leg with a couple of hinges, and Ed 209 is like clockwork when you look at it closely.
That's true.
That movement in
Yeah,
there.
and like his padding, like for the feet, it's almost like a
When he goes,
yeah, you know, it's so much work put into that. And the stop motion and everything.
and it's pretty seamless stop motion.
It's really good.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about the Ed 209 is maybe not a nod to the stop motion animators and the designers, but I'm going to share it anyway.
Do it.
It's towards the end when RoboCop is, you know, going to go deal with the guys at the top of this pyramid,
Mm-hmm.
and there's an Ed 209 outside that's like doing sentry. And it's inside. There's one inside and there's a stairwell, and it ends up on its back,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
it's like squirming, and it's also screeching.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I like to imagine that the Ed 209 was an earlier iteration of what is now the RoboCop model, in that it is a machine, but it is powered by a human brain, and that's why it's screeching like that, because there's a human brain inside, and it's trapped and it can't get out.
Oh,
Interesting.
Oh.
dang.
It was
It's
really
funny
dark.
because that becomes the plot of RoboCop 2.
Is it?
They put yeah. Wait, yeah.
It's fine. You can give spoilers. That movie is also very old.
It's the same. RoboCop 2 is very much like almost like well, maybe. Yeah. It's almost like Frankenstein. They build this other new perfect robot body they can control better, but it still doesn't work. They're like, well, it needs a brain. And the only brain that can handle it ends up being the brain of this drug psychopath who stays addicted to these. Yeah, it's a whole thing. It's not the one Frank Miller wrote, which is RoboCop 3, RoboCop in the Hood.
That's right.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. I'd love to hear your thoughts too. Like the sounds Ed 209 makes. See, I could see more that it has like, and this is even kind of darker, and I could see Verhoeven doing this. It has like a guard dog's brain in it.
Oh,
Well,
that
first
one
off,
actually makes me feel bad.
It growls,
Yes, it does.
Oh,
and when it finally falls, it kind of whimpers. It goes, it like squeaks, like it, like when it,
so that's what I
yeah.
was talking about. It sounds like screaming,
yeah,
far away screaming.
yeah. And there's a so weird. There's a line in a really good comic. I know it's going to sound weird. RoboCop versus Terminator that Dark Horse put out many, many years ago. First off, I think that is also written by Frank Miller. Comic's fucking great. But he has this line where RoboCop realizes he needs Ed 209 to help fight the T-800s that are invading. And he has this great thought bubble to himself where they're doing stuff, but they're getting decimated, but they're doing their job. And he's like, oh, Ed 209. Really stupid, but very loyal.
Well, Well, it's funny that you guys mentioned like the sound effects. Because I was talking to my other friend who worked on the film. His name is Steve Lee, and so he was talking about that there's so he runs the Hollywood Sound Museum, which is like a local thing for us out here in LA. And so they have the Foley, the like little machine that they made for like Robocop stomping, which is like part of, if I'm remembering this correctly, it's like part of a tank or something to help, like it was some kind of like little tool thing that they made to like use it. And so anyway, so that's on display there locally. And then also, I mean, to help ground everything and to make like a foam fabricated, you know, Robocop suit, you know, sound mechanical and everything. So I guess they also got like a special achievement Oscar for the sound effects. So that's cool for the film, which a lot of people don't know. And he wanted me to mention.
No, that's really cool.
Like a belated congratulations on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's well deserved.
Well, and the sound design in the movie is fantastic. Like everything reverberates, and it kind of has to because it's up against the bezel por the doorless soundtrack, and that guy doesn't do anything subtle. Like it's the Conan guy, you know.
Yeah, what a beautiful score, and so moving, and
yeah,
I mean, and you know it's RoboCop, you know.
Yeah, that dun, 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 like everyone knows it. But if you're a film nerd, you're like, oh, that's RoboCop. Murphy's gonna show up and start kicking some ass.
Yeah.
And I love like a sound cue too. The movie opens and closes the same way. It's just this long, like this metal RoboCop. When the movie's over, long, it just does it. They're like, no,
it just ends.
It just ends. It's like two hunks of metal. Movie's done. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
I got distracted by the chat.
Oh, what?
I got distracted by the chat. Go ahead.
Oh, no worries. I was just saying that I thought it was so interesting that the composer was able to, you know, just add all of this like weight and mechanical moving. It's like I almost like envision watching like factories and coils and things like that happening. It just sounds so mechanical and like metal, you know, when you listen to like that, like his theme and everything, you know. And then it gets whimsical, and you know, there's the orchestra as well. So, you know, he's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a fun blend of like that very organic orchestral sound, and then just almost artificial metallic synth, just kind of hitting as it moves, and it works well with like the sound design, because I feel like to this day, and I know it's been kind of done with robot sounds before RoboCop, but to this day, in my head, when any robot moves, all I hear is the RoboCop. That's all I hear. Like my brain is like, that is what robots sound like. They sound like RoboCop. When he turns, when he moves his head, when he walks, that's just how robots sound.
I have a hard time using power tools to this day, like little power drills. When it makes that noise, I just start walking around going. That's what's going on in my head is RoboCop moving around.
How about you, Anastasia? Do you make RoboCop sounds when you fire up your power tools?
Not yet. I think I need to get the power tools first, and then I'll do that.
The only rule is that whenever you pick up a power electric drill, you have to go. You have to hit the trigger twice at least. Otherwise, whatever you're doing is going to fail.
Okay, good to know.
It's like when you grill and you have tongs. If you don't click them twice, your dinner's going to be ruined. You have to do it.
No, yeah, that's a rule.
We don't make the laws. We just abide by
them. They
them.
know that. They grill often.
Oh, I've seen images. Yes.
Yes.
Often, yeah.
I think one of the things that like I would love to see everyone's kind of thoughts too. Something I never watched RoboCop with this intent in the past. I know it's satire, and I'm like, oh, I love it, and it's explosions, and it's fucking cool. But the part about halfway through, and I think this is like a comment, especially on our system now, but halfway through, it doesn't take much for the Detroit police to pretty much be told like, oh, we have to take him down. Because those in power are seeing like, oh, fuck, he's revealing all the bullshit that we've been doing. So we're just going to call him a criminal until the people that he was keeping alive an hour ago take him down. Don't arrest him, fucking kill him. And I don't know how that impacted people in 1987 in America, but I think in 2024, it's a different vibe. It's a different feeling when that scene happens.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. There's a lot.
Jump in.
There's a lot to unpack there. Yeah, please. Anyone else? I think that the police in America are viewed very differently now. I think it's also, it was easy in 1987 to understand this is the hero and the hero is being attacked.
Yeah.
But the language that they're using makes more sense today when they say it's not a person, it's a product. Because we have been told that about ourselves.
Yeah.
Like,
you're not creating art, you're creating content.
If you are on social media and you aren't paying for it, you're the product. And you're being sold to advertisers.
No, that's not just social media.
Yes,
That's the whole internet.
That is the whole internet. So I think that starts to resonate in a very different way in modern culture, which is why this is a good movie to talk about now.
I was like, that's why we picked it, right? Is because there's a lot of stuff that is like painfully relatable today.
Yes.
Like the idea that like corporations are controlling most things, and there's literally a line where what's his face, Dick Jones like literally says like, no, we're practically a military.
We're practically the military. Yep.
Yeah.
And that didn't used to be true about police forces in the 80s, but it is true now. They literally have military grade hand-me-downs.
Yep.
Right.
And most corporations are the military. Looking at you, Lockheed Martin.
Yeah.
If you dig deep enough, everyone's the military, apparently.
We should really quick though, because you mentioned Dick Jones. I feel like we should dive a little bit into like some of the actors in this film. I don't understand. I mean, everyone of course loves Peter Weller, but do you have like a performance every time you watch it, you're like, God damn, that's good when you watch RoboCop?
For me, I mean, it's like all the bad guys are so interesting. It's like I want to watch more of them. And then, I mean, well, my favorite, of course, is like Ray Wise, Leland Palmer. Like he's so good. I don't know. I mean, just how about you guys? What's your favorite?
I mean, I'm like you, like it all depends what kind of like mood I'm in. I feel bad for thinking this way, but like Peter Weller's great, but he's not the standout for me. He's the silent hero. And that's not a dig on him. But when I think of, well, like honestly, you put it in the post, like dead or alive, you're coming with me. Like he's got these great lines, or the one after he shoots the one wannabe rapist in the dick. And she runs up to him and he just has this moment of like, you have experienced sexual trauma. I will be calling it. It's the irony being is that our cops, never mind, I'm not gonna do it.
Yep.
Doesn't happen now. Anyway, but the way some of those lines, the way they're delivered, it's him just trying to do it like a robot, which I guess is great because when this mask comes off and he's more Alex Murphy, it's a good juxtaposition. But when I watch the film though, for me, it's the trinity of Ronnie Cox, Miguel Ferrer, and Kurtwood Smith.
Yeah, they're great.
First off, all of them, like if there's a like Mount Rushmore of 80s villains, like they're on there. Of like, you saw them in everything. You still see them in everything. Not always as villains, but... And Kurtwood Smith as Boddicker has some of the best fucking lines in that whole movie. that stick with me. Like one when we all just yelled, "I work for Dick Jones." I used to sell T-shirts back in the Cafe Press days that just said I worked for Dick Jones. Sold like crazy. You know, so those are for me. You know, Miguel as Bob Miguel, he's just so slimy. It's pretty rare that I find myself rooting for someone to die, like a character. Like sometimes I'll be like, oh, they had it coming. The moment Bob opens his mouth, I was like, I hope it ends for you in the worst fucking way. Like, I know that your boss is also a piece of shit and Clarence is a piece of shit, but you're the worst.
Well, it's especially when you start realizing it wasn't just that they were waiting for someone to die to be volunteered into the Robocop program. It's that they were actively reassigning prime candidates that fit a psychological profile into the worst district in
Why
Detroit.
did I never make that connection?
They say it. He talks about it.
Pretty early on.
Yeah.
I'm too busy loathing him that I missed the line.
Yeah. Yeah, like he talks about the fact that we have reallocated prime target or prime candidates into the worst parts of the city so that they can become cannon fodder and end up being recruited for this program.
Oh my God, I never made that connection.
So like
missed it.
That part is also loathsome, but it's not. It is, I am trying to game the system to create something that will work versus Dick Jones going, I am creating something that is somewhat faulty, but the military will buy it.
Yes.
And I can make even more money and more profit for the company. And it has bigger ramifications. They're both the same type of 80s corporate dickhead.
Oh, yeah.
One thinks bigger than the other.
Yeah, the Bob Morton character is like the out and out weasel, and you hate him because he's such a little weasel.
Yeah.
But Dick Jones is like a classic sinister 80s bad guy. Yep. And again, like looking at it in this modern light, it's even more unsettling because you know that this is one of those like, oh, he said the quiet part loud.
Yep.
Things like this are not too far from reality. And, CEOs aren't even trying that hard to pretend they're not doing it anymore. So
if he was alive now, Dick Jones would be running Boeing.
Yes.
Sorry.
But to answer your question, Anastasia, the standouts for me are definitely Ronnie Cox. The older I get, the more I appreciate Ronnie Cox as an actor because he has made a career of playing people that you hate. Oh no.
I was wondering, I was like, she's been really still for a long time.
Oh, okay. Well, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Do 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 do.
Yeah, she dropped off, so we'll see.
Okay. Cool.
I was just thinking she'd been super quiet.
I know. I was like,
We also never shut up though. So
no, but there were a few times like, what do you think? And I was like, she's just smiling. I think she froze.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. Let's see if she comes back. Should we shoot her an email?
I'm doing
I don't know why I didn't know how that sentence was going to end.
Because we've been talking about people shooting.
Yeah, I was like, in the back? What?
I think too, like it's funny to look at overlap of these people. Like Ray Wise and Miguel Ferrer also went on to be in Twin Peaks together. Miguel Ferrer is one of my favorite fictional characters from Twin Peaks.
Also in Star Trek.
Yes.
He's Sulu's helmsman, right?
Yep. But that also means Peter Weller, Ronnie Cox, Kurtwood Smith, Miguel Ferrer, and Ray Wise have all been in Star Trek.
Yeah. You're back.
Hello.
What a mess. All of a sudden you guys like froze and I was like, oh, am I the only one here?
I had this moment where I was like, she's really good at just holding that hi. I was like,
I
is she
am
doing
good at
performance art on me?
pantomiming.
And then I was like, I bet
Oh,
you she's about to drop off. So I don't know. When did we lose you? We were talking about actor villains and stuff.
I don't know. I just panicked, so I lost everything.
That's all
That's
right.
all right. We're just
I'm like sweating.
while we were gone, Cable and I were just discussing how many of the RoboCop characters then made appearances in Star Trek because we're both we're all Star Trek nerds.
And also
And
David
Twin
Lynch.
Peaks?
And Twin Peaks, yes.
Yeah.
Because
Like a
Miguel
little
Ferrer,
version. Yeah.
Miguel Ferrer and Ray Wise were in Twin Peaks. I loved Albert. What was Albert's last name in Twin Peaks?
Oh, I'm blanking.
Like that whole speech that he gives Sheriff Truman after Truman decks him, and they think that he thinks that he's always going to be a problem. And Albert gives this speech about like he is always going to choose the path of the Dalai Lama. He is always going to turn the other cheek. He is always going to do the right thing in the pursuit of life, love, and happiness, even if it means pissing off everyone else in the world. And it's like, who is this guy? Because he just came across as like, oh, he's just kind of a like a pencil pushing asshole. But no, he has this huge heart. And from that point on, every time that Albert and Harry saw each other, they greet each other with a hug.
Albert Rosenfeld.
Albert Rosenfeld.
Nice.
I loved that bit. Like that was one of the roles that made me fall in love with Miguel Ferrer. Like he was great. But yeah, I think just before you froze, I was talking about how I've gained an appreciation for Ronnie Cox and figure that he has probably got to be one of the nicest goddamn people in Hollywood because he plays nothing but assholes and always has work. And if you play horrible, horrible people in Hollywood, but you are always working, people love you. People love the real you. I've been finding.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting, like doing some deep dives on this, where I don't know if you guys covered it while I was like having a meltdown and I was gone. But with Peter Weller, he would stay in character on set, and they were like shooting this in Texas or something, and it was so hot. And so he would just like when he would tell people like, "Don't talk to me when I'm in my robo soup. I'm RoboCop," you know. And so it was so interesting, like, because he probably ended up making some enemies because it's like, you know, when you're hot and you're on set, it's like you just want to be pleasant to everybody. And he's like low-key kind of being like demanding and having everybody address him as RoboCop, you know.
And he's wearing something.
Imagine doing that.
Yeah, and he's wearing something that's probably cooking him extra.
Oh, completely. Yeah. And also all the work that he did, like he worked with a movement coach and did choreography with that, because like I was watching different videos and I watched a bit of have you guys seen like the RoboCop documentary?
I still have not
I
seen that.
haven't yet, but I heard it's really good.
Yeah, and I love all the people that were involved with making that. They did such a great, I mean, I've before booking this, I had watched some of it before, but I'm like because I'm like, I like to drag things out, so I kind of wait and like to really enjoy it. So I'm like 3 episodes in, but it's like everything you want as like somebody who loves special features in releases. It's like everything. They do so many in-depth interviews, and it's just so wonderful. And I love the people that put that on, and I hope that they deep dive other films too, because they really went to like great lengths to like get in touch with, you know, all of the actors and stuff, and you know, the director and all of that.
I think there's one coming out for Aliens. They crowdsourced it. They've got like Cameron, like they got everyone back to do interviews and insights. Like they got Cameron, Weaver, like everyone to do this Aliens documentary that I'm super jazzed over. So
nice.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I'm glad that they're still doing things.
Yeah,
it was so good. But
I didn't realize he went to a movement coach. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. He trained with that, and they were saying that like a lot of his gunfight style was like fencing moves, you know, like where he throws. And my daughter does fencing in high school, so like I can see it now. It's like, oh, you know, like I can totally see that. And then the whole like he had it in his head that it's not a movement from his eyes, it's like he moves first from his chest. So it's like the chest moving first, and then, and then he takes his steps, which I just thought was so interesting because like I'm a dancer, so I love hearing those like little tweaks that people do to like deep go into the character.
Yeah, I do like it. Like his chest and his arms lead his movement before his head and legs. Like he has to point his body where he's going and then he moves. And now when I rewatch it, the fencing thing makes so much sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Because everything about Robocop's movement is the efficiency of movement.
Like a machine.
But stay defended while taking your opponent out at the same time. And I'm like, so now when I watch it, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's really cool to learn. Actually, it's gonna
because to turn your body in such a way that you make yourself a smaller target, which is hard to do when you're a robo.
When you're a
Robocop.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like double the size.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, I read he didn't actually fit in the squad car in costume, so they had to shoot those special.
It's just his torso kind of thing.
My guess is they probably had him like get out of the suit, like lower body, like the bottom half of the torso and legs, and that way only what you can see above the gunnels is the suit.
He went full Brando. Just didn't wear pants in those scenes.
That just makes sense.
It really does, yeah. One of the things I learned was a couple weeks ago. I think it might have actually been on TikTok, but then I saw it verified. And honestly, I don't know if you know this one, but it's kind of great. When Boddicker is first booked, the first time he's caught, and he's supposed to have that line of like, just give me my fucking phone call. Verhoeven was like, he was never happy with how everyone was reacting to it. He's like, yeah, you're doing fine. It's not intense enough. I want it more intense. I want it more intense. And so apparently, yeah. Oh my God, Kurtwood he's like, what do you want to do? And he's like, I don't know, spit on him. I'm like, I'm not going to spit on him. Apparently then when they went to do the next scene, Kurtwood Smith went to props and effects and asked for a blood capsule, but didn't tell anyone. So that part where he's being dragged in and he's just like cinching his mouth shut, it looks like he's grimacing. Apparently he's trying to stop all this bloody drool because he's been building it up as this take is set up. So when he spits and says, give me my fucking phone call, and everyone jumps, that's not rehearsed. No one knew he was going to do that. It's just pretty great.
Fascinating.
It's not quite hitting what's her name with real blood in the first chest burster scene in Alien, but it's up there.
Yeah, that's super.
Yeah, that's pretty great. See, you were worried we wouldn't fill an hour. We're getting close. You were worried we couldn't fill an hour. We're getting kind of close here. See,
I was actually.
And I feel like we can just go off tangents on tangents and stuff. Why do you think the movie endures so well? Because it seems to find a new audience about every 10 years. Someone rediscovers it. It was like, what the shit?
Well, I think it's like, you're getting, it's all of these hyper talented creators, and they were allowed to, I mean, like there's always, time is money, and we've got to hurry up. But it's like they were allowed to like have their prep time, with their like effects, and they were allowed to like do all these things. Like, for me, it's all of the practical effects just so hold up, we've got like, what was it, like Rob Bottin, like he's like a genius with these effects. And I don't know, I don't, it feels like they didn't cut many corners, you know what I mean? Like we're getting quality work with everything.
Yeah.
It's like high art for me, even though like maybe the subject's a little silly or it's intense, but it's like, I don't know, it's like you can feel like everybody put everything into it, like their heart and soul, into the work.
Right. I mean, I think it had was it a $13.7 million budget, which for 87, that's decently high. I feel like even for a movie like that. But it also looks like what happens when you just kind of leave artists alone. and just let them like, look, here's your budget, do what you got to do, have a movie ready for summer. Okay. Or for whatever, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
also I feel, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's like they kind of got a moment to like escape Hollywood, and like what you were saying, to like do like be left alone enough to like get the work done, you know. So and also,
achieve the
I mean,
vision without
what?
notes. Achieving your vision without all the notes.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, the topics are so relevant today. You know, it's like it's like you have to fit. God, I'm losing it. But what was the idea? It's like if you're not relevant, like they're gonna find somebody else to take your spot. You know what I mean? Like you're replaceable, basically. Like we've got 10 others in the back who will give their left arm, you know, to take your place. So it's so relevant. And the control factor, you know, with like government and stuff. I mean, I don't want to get too much into that, you know. But I don't know, the storyline. It's very relevant. But yeah, what do you think?
It kind of has everything, right? It had a good budget. Like the Robocop suit alone is supposed to have been $500,000 or more. So you know that no expense is being spared on costumes. The practical effects are really good, and we all talk about this all the time, is how a solid practical effect makes a movie timeless versus cutting edge, you know, digital effects. More often than not will date your movie once it is no longer cutting edge, and there's always something new on the horizon, but you can't really replace great practical effect. And again, the cast is great, the performances are really good. And you know, there's nuance there, even though the point of the film is to be satirical and over the top sometimes. And yeah, it does not hurt that some of that stuff is not satire anymore. I think like I was saying earlier, it seems like satires like kind of need to cook a little while after they come out, and often have like mixed reviews in the beginning, but becoming more and more appreciated over time. So
yeah, no. And I was reading something up really quick in the background when we were chatting, which kind of makes it feel even more weirdly creepy and poignant. So when they cast Kurtwood Smith as Boddicker, he was ready to take his glasses off, and they said, no, you can leave him on. Because when the writer and director was working on it and they envisioned Boddicker, they based him on Heinrich Himmler. And
that's a choice.
If you look up pictures of Heinrich Himmler, I'm like, oh no, that's Boddicker in the 40s. And he had no idea. He's like, I was just playing it up to this guy who liked to shoot things and deal drugs, which also could, you know. So anyway, that while we were talking about how it's relevant now, I'm like, oof, boy, this movie works on so many different levels right now. So this will be a fun little thing as we get kind of close to the end, and I'm going to put everybody on the spot. So if you were to do, after watching the movie, if you were to do a sequel, because I remember when I saw this in the theater, in my head, I knew what the sequel would be, and I was obviously wrong because I was 11. But if you were to do a Robocop 2, like what would you focus on?
My Robocop would be something along the lines of the comic book that you were describing. Is so he's gone rogue. He's no longer at the whims of the corporation that created him.
OCP.
He is his own man, and he has a pack of E209s that, you know, work with him. So he's like literally like the new sheriff in town, taking down bad guys, and on the streets as well as in the corner offices. And he's got his robot dogs to help him.
I'd watch that. Robocop turns into Robo Ronin, right and wrongs.
I don't know that Robo Ronin is quite right, but
I don't know. I see that though. I'd watch Robocop with his pack of Ed 209s fighting injustice.
Like Robo Sheriff, like one Robocop to police and protect an entire city. You know.
In the future, where the gun rules, only one man and machine can keep us safe. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, so you can
Yeah,
do
see,
it.
it sells itself.
Cable, Anastasia, have you? I know I was like dropping you on the spot. What do you think? What would you, if you would write a quick sequel to a new version of RoboCop 2?
Man, I mean, I haven't even thought about writing my own version. I like this thought process though, but I mean, just
Yeah, I
off
do
the top
too.
of my head, I would say like him like trying to stop that program, you know, like getting into the woodwork of all of that, or also on the side trying to find his family again. Like, where's his family at? You know, like it just like I don't know.
And does he get back together with his family?
Yeah,
Oh,
like
that-
is the family around? Did they take care of the family? You know what I mean? Like, because they're asking too many questions. Did they move out of like how did they not run into RoboCop and realize like, oh my God, that's my dad?
I mean, it sounds dark.
Like, I know it's a big city, but come on, I run into people all the time.
But I could see that. It's kind of a
Not
darker
looking
thing.
great.
Yeah. I get the vibe that OCP offed his family. Because that
Right.
wasn't just an empty house, like for sale.
It was empty-ish.
But
I noticed that too. There were
Yeah.
a few, and I didn't know whether I wanted to chalk that up to just like kind of hokey storytelling. Like, okay, the house is empty, but except for the one broken mug that said like world-class husband.
And
And
the
then
photo is burned. Like, why? Like, did they?
Yeah.
Are they trying to like erase that like what's happening with that, you know?
yeah, and like the dead flowers. It was and the things that remained in that house were like very specific.
It's almost like they knew he was going to go back, and they're like, "We're going to destroy everything that was your humanity, but let you look at the pieces."
I do like this concept too, as much as Denise's idea, where it is RoboCop on the road, looking for what made him Alex Murphy. That, oh man.
And I would add on to this because my idea is similar, but part of it is he's now doing his best because, like he said at the end of the movie, they fixed Annie. And she's another RoboCop.
Yeah.
And he wants to make sure that so it's like, I'm going to get you out of here. I know what code they're putting you into. We're going to right wrongs on the road and solve how we were both betrayed. Then it becomes Lethal Weapon, but with RoboCops.
Okay.
Because Peter Weller is too old for that shit.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I was like at 11 years old, I'm like, sequel, she's going to be a robot too. It's going to be so cool.
I did think that that's what that meant.
I did too, yeah.
That line delivery was they can fix you, they fix me.
Yeah, they can
Like-
fix anything.
Oh, that's worrisome.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that was the intent or the implication when when they wrote it and when they shot it, but then that got shot down, and so that's why it never came to be, even though that seems like exactly what they were going to do.
It's also, that's a very open to interpretation line, where it's simply, you are also just a product just like I am, and they will take care of their products until it's too broke to fix.
But we'll take this win.
Yeah. Gosh, those are, I love all of these ideas. They really would have made a better RoboCop 2. I'm blanking on most of RoboCop 2 and RoboCop 3. I'm not sure I saw RoboCop 3.
You're not missing much with RoboCop.
I did
3.
see RoboCop 2.
There's no Peter Weller in it. He was done. He's like, this script is stupid.
Oh yeah. I feel like I saw RoboCop 2 in a completely weird double feature with Time Me Up, Time Me Down, which made no
All right.
Yeah, it was weird. It's a movie. It is a movie. Time Me Up, Time Me Down. Take a look at it.
Yeah.
Or don't. I don't know. Anyway.
We must also never forget RoboCop's other profession, which was, of course, selling Kentucky Fried Chicken in Korea.
I'm sorry, what?
It's either Korea or Japan. So not Peter Weller, but they got the rights to RoboCop to sell. You can find the commercials online to sell fried chicken.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think I probably would have leaned towards another rogue Robocop. Probably leaning more into the anti-capitalist, figuring out that he was created as product and going that route. Certainly not any fun, but definitely that's the direction I probably would have gone.
When you were describing, your RoboCop 2 thing earlier, this is totally off topic, but I just it came into my brain so hard and so fast. I have to share it with you guys. There's this book that I read a jillion years ago, and I apologize now if anyone is like, I know that book and it's deeply problematic. I'm sorry, I didn't catch it at the time and I don't remember it now. But I really, in retrospect, I love this book. It's called Armor by John Stakely, and it is a military sci-fi space war with bug aliens kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the soldiers wear these armored suits, and the main character never dies, and he'll get really fucked up because how gruesome this war is, but then they patch him up and then they just keep putting him back out there. And that's what the thing you said made me think of it. It's just well, you are the product. We have invested in you as a commodity, and so we will keep patching you up and sending you out because that's what the ROI says is best.
Right.
It's like a really kind of dark, cynical version of live, die, live again.
Live, die, repeat.
Live, die, repeat.
Oh yeah.
Maybe, but I don't remember.
Well, because Tom Cruise keeps dying because they have to get better and better, but it's for a noble cause to save humanity.
Right.
Your version is the cause is money. What was that, Anastasia? Sorry.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's say yes.
I know. I can totally see that. Oh
Was
my God,
that
that's such a dark.
Was that a different film? Are you talking about the one? Because I just watched Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise, and
So it's U.S. name is Edge of.
A couple days ago on our holiday vacation, I was like, I have to watch this.
So the movie was called.
Good. It's so weird that
yeah.
it's so.
So the Tom Cruise is Edge of Tomorrow, which is a horrible name. So when it went to video, they called it Live, Die, Repeat: The Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, I thought Live, Die, Repeat was just the tagline.
It was, but then they swapped it. Like how when the Birds of Prey movie came to theaters, it was Harley Quinn and then they changed it to Birds of Prey and the Emancipation. They tweaked the title.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's based off the manga of All You Need Is Kill. I think it's the manga.
That
anyway.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, same page then. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Same movie.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
they were
that, but add capitalism.
Oh yes.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I was just saying that it was so good and it ended on a cliffhanger and they were supposed to have a sequel and I'm still waiting.
I know. I think because it did not perform well. And I think that's one of the rare times where the title did what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
What?
It was too generic.
I even think when it hit video and even Tom Cruise knew it wasn't going to do well, he started pitching it as the movie of have you always wanted me to die over and over and over and over again in hilarious ways?
This is the movie for you.
The movie. He's like, watch me die over and over again. And apparently that did cause a slight spike in sales and rentals and streaming.
Wow. Know your audience, I guess.
So we should probably wrap up, but on stage, this is super fun. And I'm jazzed to do this every month.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me. This was
of course
wonderful, and I learned a lot. And I love chatting these fun films.
Excellent.
Nice. Well, on email, I think we'll need to pick for next month. We'll go down your list, and you should grab the one you want to dive into next.
Totally. Let's do it. I'm ready.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, with that,
we're gonna all sign off together. So with that, I am Aron Duran.
I am Beanarita.
And I am Cable Hashitani.
And our guest, Anastasia Elfman. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back in 2 weeks. So yeah, thanks everyone. Bye.
2
weeks.
And we're clear.
And the stream is clear. Thank you.
So
that
now
was
we can
super
just
fun.
chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we can
Thank you
chat
guys
before.